Republican Party is dead. The Republican Party is dead. Not only are they going to lose both Senate seats in Georgia, and not only will that create a deluge of leftist legislation, socialist, communist legislation, but they've now thrown the President of the United States, Donald Trump, under a bus. They did it through so-called Attorney General Bill Barr, who I call Blowhard Bill, or Puxatani Bill, because he throws his head into the hole, hiding under his desk, and won't come out, will not indict criminals like Comey, McCabe, Brennan, Clapper, the Obamas, the Bidens, and the Clintons. And yesterday, without doing any investigation, he says there's no evidence of widespread fraud. So when the president did his interview with Maria Bartiromo of Fox News, the only one on Fox News really who's both intelligent and asks good questions, not afraid to be critical, and that's important. Unlike Sean Hannity, who's become a Tokyo Rose, anything that he can say that covers up for what's happening, he's going to say, because he's going to try to sell viewers to come back to Fox News every single night, offering false hope. The president, when he was interviewed by Maria Bartiromo, was asked, what is the FBI doing? What is the Justice Department doing? And he said, nothing. I'm not even in control of them. And then he was asked, what about the courts? And he says, the courts aren't going to do anything either. And of course, then you have the Congress, which just talks and doesn't do anything, continuing to stuff money into their pockets, thieves, court jesters, and crooks. That's what we have for a so-called government right now. But the Republican Party is now abandoning the president in droves. It now behooves we, the people, to take matters into our own legal and peaceful hands. It's clear that Biden and Kamala Harris will be inaugurated as the president and vice president of the United States, given this Republican abandonment, running for the exits, and frankly, acting like traitors. The judges, they have no guts. They're establishment people, particularly the federal judges, unelected, unaccountable. They're not going down with what they think is a sinking ship. The rats are fleeing the ship, and that includes the federal judges. And that's what I'm talking about. In my book, It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry. As I've said many times, Jefferson predicted that federal judges, unelected, thinking they're there for life, they aren't really. You can read my book and see they're only there for good behavior. It can be removed, but they've never been removed, only 8 in 244 years. That's about 1 every 31 years. Is that these judges, as Jefferson predicted, would become despots and tyrants, requiring us to wage revolution about every 20 years and to shed the blood of patriots. And then Jefferson added, what's a few thousand dead to refresh the tree of liberty? Well, the president, when he appeared on Maria Bartiromo, was actually calling for revolution. He was saying that I have no control of what's going on right now, and I am the president of the United States. He's saying, you, the American people, now need to rise up. Now, he's not going to be the president, unfortunately. Hopefully he'll go off and do other things. Maybe he'll buy a major cable network or some network and be a spokesperson for what's going on. He can be very effective if he watches his language and tones it down a little bit and does it in a respectable way. I think he's probably learned a lesson that he turned a lot of people off, even with all the fraud. He would have won but for the fraud, but he turned a lot of people off that he didn't have to in the process. And this is the lesson that we face right now, is that the two-party system is broken. The Democrats are an evil, devilish bunch of thieves and liars and socialists and communists and radical Muslims, radical Marxists on the Jewish left. I'm Jewish, Christian myself, so you know where that's coming from. I'm telling you the truth. And radical blacks and radicals of every group. And they want to destroy this country. They want to divide up what's left, hand it out to everybody as reparations, and move on. And there'll be nothing left but rubble. That's what's going to happen. And mark my words, Joe Biden won't last 6 months. He'll either die of some stroke. And he can't even play with his dog without breaking his leg in 3 places. That's how bad he is in terms of health. But if he happens to survive one day, I predict he just won't wake up. Somebody will give him something. And at that point, Kamala Harris and all these radical leftists will be infesting our so-called government. We have no government. Nothing. I want you to go to Freedom Watch's website and see the interview I did on Crowdsource the Truth last night with Jason Goodman, who's a very honest guy, and he speaks the truth. He's been discriminated against by a number of different social media outlets. I want you to watch that. I want you to read my book, It Takes a Revolution. Forget the scandal industry. Forget about Hannity. Forget about cable news. You have to get up off the couch and do it for yourself. And now that we see that even the Republican establishment has stabbed the president in the back, it is now for we Americans to rise up, to wage a peaceful and legal revolution. One way to do it, as I say in my book, are citizens' grand juries. We've already indicted Mueller that last fall. We'll indict Comey, we'll indict McCabe, we'll indict Clapper, we'll indict Brennan, we'll indict the Lovebergs, we'll indict Bruce Orr. And yes, we will indict Hunter and Joseph Biden. And that'll be done in the next few months. We will seek that indictment. We then have the right to try them, to seek their conviction, to sentence them, and we even have the right to make citizens arrests. We won't do it violently, but if they don't want to submit so they can be turned over to authorities, then we'll have millions of Americans out there in the streets protesting, as they did in Poland, which brought down the Soviet Union. The masses will rise up because there are at least half of the people in this country know that we're going the way of a socialist communist state, a godless state where you worship at the altar of government, not at the altar of a Judeo-Christian creator. And do not think that God and his son are not watching. They've destroyed many civilizations over time, and we're now on the chopping block. And if the American people don't rise up, this country's gone. Now, I know sometimes my messages sound repetitive, but you know what? It needs to sink in, and people need to have it sink in, because we are at the end. We are at the end point. So I want you to go out and read the Declaration of Independence. When the government breaks its bonds with the people have a right to alter or abolish their form of government and to form a new government by and for the people. We have that right. But we can also try to salvage what we have right now by rising up and holding people to the rule of law and to our Constitution, and to rid this country of the deceitful, dishonest, crooked, criminal politicians who have infested our government and turned Washington not into a swamp, but into a cesspool. That's my message for today. Get my book. You'll see what I'm saying. It Takes a Revolution. Forget the Scandal Industry on Amazon.com. You can get it in audio. You can get it in Kindle. You can get it in hard copy. You can also get it if you donate more than $50 to Freedom Watch. We'll send it to you for free. You can go to freedomwatchusa.org and do that. I want to tell you honestly from my heart that the American people are the superheroes. We are the ones that will save this country if it's salvageable at this point. And we must now rise up and do that. God bless you. God bless your family. Stay safe. Remember, God is with us, but he will not be with us if we abandon the greatest nation ever created, the United States of America. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.